I'm sure you've all learned about several different missionaries that have traveled all over the world teaching Christianity to several different countries. India happens to be one of these, but what exactly differs India from all the others? Well, when Portuguese missionaries arrived there in 1498, supposedly there had already been a Christian community already invented there called the St. Thomas Christians. So let's go ahead and take a look and see how exactly these Portuguese missionaries and missionaries that would show up later, such as Robert de Nobili and Francis Xavier, responded to this so-called Christian community.
Out of all successful missionary stories, one that really stands out is that of Roberto de Nobili. Like any story, he went to India and planned to teach Christianity there. But when he got there, supposedly there had already been a Christian community established there, called the St. Thomas Christian. They had been living in harmony until they were discovered by a group of Portuguese explorers led by Vasco da Gama in 1498. The St. Thomas Christians were called the St. Thomas Christians was because, based on an old Indian oral tradition, St. Thomas, one of the 12 apostles, sailed to India and landed at Cranganore in 52 AD. He converted many high caste Hindus and established many Christian communities there. He then traveled to China and came back to organize the communities he established, and traveled to the Coromandel coast to the town of Madras, where he was martyred. Based off of Portuguese records, the St. Thomas Christians enjoyed high social status, which included royal privileges and upper-class Hindu counterparts. They had nobility customs, such as feeding a newborn gold with honey, teaching the newborn the alphabet, ceremonial baths, and many death and marriage rituals. Now that we have a background on them, let's see how missionaries converted them. Latin Christianity was introduced to India at the beginning of the 14th century when John of Monte Corvino and Jordan Catalani visited. It wasn't officially established until the 15th century with the help of an extreme wave of missionaries that arrived in 1518, who had begun on converting people in Goa, Bassein, Cochin, and parts of Tamil Nadu. One missionary story is that in 1536, when civil war broke out between the fisher peoples of the caste system, also known as the Pauravas, and the Muslims. The Portuguese aided the Pauravas and later converted a large number of them. One of the most successful missionary stories was that of Francis Xavier, who arrived in Goa in 1542. He and his men were able to establish seminaries in Quilon and Cochin, and even establish schools throughout Portuguese settlements. Similar stories were that of the Padroado missionaries in the Indian areas of Madurai, Trichinopoly, Durtugol, Tanjore, Hooghly, and many others. Later in the 16th century, they had realized that the missionary efforts were to mostly with the lower class system people. To attract the upper class system, that is, the Brahmins, Roberto de Nobili decided to learn their customs, learn how they behaved, and learn how they dressed. Unfortunately, Jesuit Matteo Ricci used the same approach in China, and Pope Pius XIV commended the practices in 1742, and he banned Nobili's practices 2 years later.